Hi, it's good to see you again. My name is Matt Ray. For those of you all just tuning in, I'm the director of partner integration for Chef. So what I do is I help Chef integrate with lots of stuff, and one of the things that we integrate with is vCloud Air. And so I'm joined today by my good friend Jay Marshall from VMware. Jay, why don't you tell us about yourself?
Hey everybody, Jay Marshall. I'm responsible for cloud application development initiatives on VMware's vCloud Air platform. That's our public cloud offering. So thrilled to be here at ChefConf this week, and appreciate Matt taking the time to talk.
Yeah, I mean, there's a whole lot of folks here. We've got VMware as a platinum sponsor. They've got a nice large booth, big presence. But why don't you, for those of you who don't know what VMware's up to here, why don't you tell us about vCloud Air?
I appreciate that. So yeah, vCloud Air essentially is our entry into the public cloud. I went live about 2 years ago. We're now in data centers all over the planet. I think we're upwards around 10 or more now. And so we're in Europe, we're in Asia, down in Australia. So we're expanding our footprint. And so essentially it is a VMware-owned, operated cloud from the physical infrastructure on up. So the folks that brought you x86 virtualization, we're actually now running and operating our own cloud.
So what makes vCloud Air different from other public clouds? What's like special about it being from VMware?
Yeah, so we've been fortunate enough with our little hypervisor product vSphere to have a pretty nice penetration in the enterprise. So a lot of people standardize on our hypervisor, and so our vCloud Air offering is built on that same hypervisor.
Okay.
So what that means is workload portability. For a lot of enterprises, we even did an informal poll here at ChefConf, and we find that there's not a whole lot of public cloud usage of overall production workloads. It was still over 90% that are still people managing in their own data centers, and that's where we specialize.
Yeah.
So what we were able to do with our cloud is take the exact same tools, same people, same processes, and extend that to your public cloud offering. So whether it's capacity management, whether it's actually workloads that you don't want to make a change to, you don't have to learn a brand new skill set and a whole new architecture just to run your applications. So that's our primary value prop. We're still VMware, just extended to the cloud.
Well, that's cool. So you and I gave a talk. We gave 2 talks last year, VMworld and VMworld Barcelona. Like, what was kind of the format of the talk, and what were we talking about there?
Well, actually, it's funny because the feedback that we got from that session, it really resonated with our customers. We were creating basically, as you know, what we were calling a hybrid cookbook. So the cookbook of assembling a 3-tier application, deploying it to vCloud Air, and then using that exact same cookbook to deploy to our private vSphere data center.
Yeah.
And so now granted, in the context of cloud, when you're doing things from scratch, kind of common, not completely unheard of. With us, where the difference is, we have a feature called catalog sync. So whatever OS images you use in your private data center that your IT admins have blessed, and operating system versions, patch levels, agents, things like that, every little piece of that OS image, you can sync to every single cloud that you use of ours. So what that means is when you're doing testing on the public cloud, you notice the exact same infrastructure the whole way down below the OS as you're doing in your private cloud.
Right.
When our customers start to realize that and they apply that to testing, not using generic Linux VMs and then deploying inside your own 4 walls to production, it's really starting to resonate with them. So thank you for joining me for that.
Yeah, well, and since it was a Chef and VMware talk, the way we deployed that infrastructure was we used Knife.
Yep.
So we had a new plugin at the time, Knife VC Air, vCloud Air, for deploying. We deployed Linux and Windows into the public cloud, and then we used Knife vSphere to deploy the same application, the same cookbooks, the same recipes, the same run list into vSphere as well. So we could say, hey, I'm going to test in the public cloud and run in production in my private vSphere cloud. And so that was the talk, and it definitely got good feedback. We did a webinar, people liked it, so we decided we'd do some more stuff together.
That's right.
All right. So since VMworld Barcelona, you guys have had a lot of announcements. So what's new with with vCloud Air?
Yeah, so we've actually done some really big things this year already. So we announced our disaster recovery version 2.0. So our DR service was one of our most popular launches, basically one-click DR to the cloud. And since once again it's based on vSphere in both places, literally in the case of an event, you have warm standby capacity and you can instantly bring those workloads back up. So we have a new version of that has even more bells and whistles. Some folks may have seen the big announcement with Google as a partner. So we're going to be starting to provide some of Google's flagship services, like
object storage, DNS,
BigQuery, Google DNS. So literally, as a vCloud Air customer, you don't have to re-authenticate, you don't have to do anything. The billing and metering, indemnification that we cover on our paper. So once again, for the enterprise customers that want to use those kinds of services, but don't want to have to deal with all the other stuff, they can just consume it through vCloud Air. Also, our vCloud Air network has expanded. We announced a very strategic partnership with Rackspace. So we're doing some great stuff with them as well. So yeah, the hybrid cloud message with the enterprise customers is just exploding. And so I think that's why you're seeing a lot of these other strategic partners follow with us, including Chef.
And one of the things that we see with our shared customers is realistically, enterprises, they're not all in on public cloud yet. Some of them are, but a lot of them have a lot of existing infrastructure, a lot of workloads that can't move to the cloud for whatever reason, compliance, security, whatever. And so like VMware is, that's still going to be core to a lot of enterprises going forward. So what we're trying to do with Chef is make sure that we support your workloads wherever you're running them. So you're here at ChefConf. So we had a couple of new extensions to our offering. We added Chef provisioning support. So if you're using Knife previously, Knife is good for single launching vApps one at a time. I got my terminology right. Launching our VMs one at a time. But with Chef provisioning, we can actually launch clusters of infrastructure at a time. And since it's a Chef recipe, we can do conditional Ruby logic around these things. You have existing Chef resources, so you can do some pretty cool stuff as you're deploying large scale clusters. And because it's Chef, it's idempotent. So that's Chef provisioning support for vCloud Air, and then of course if you're running Chef, you're probably involved in like test-driven infrastructure. So test kitchen support for vCloud Air, we've got that now. So these shops that maybe they're running their production in vSphere, but they need somewhere to validate that these VMs that they're running in production on vSphere, well, they can have a vCloud Air account that runs those exact same VMDKs and use those with Test Kitchen to validate. Maybe they don't have the capacity inside the data center, but they can run it all in the cloud.
Well, and one thing too, I mean, these were two killer enhancements that I know we worked very closely on because we both thought it was very important. And I'm thrilled actually seeing it get rolled out kind of almost in conjunction with ChefConf here, because the Chef provisioning piece, like you said, for folks that are looking to script that whole environment. That was the one thing, doing command line by command line, but as you know, being able to roll all of this out in one full suite, that's where it's at. And I think that we obviously have some great management tools in our vRealize suite and things like that for things like workflow management and policy and governance, but there's still a lot of folks that want to use Chef to script that whole thing and maybe integrate it with vRealize for being able to get some of the additional policy management. So I think the ability to do that through one full Chef script, along with the Test Kitchen pieces, our cloud, our new on-demand service, we actually do pay-by-the-minute billing. So when you start
for testing,
exactly. So I get test-driven, I go and deploy. If all my lights turn a nice, pretty green and everything succeeded, it instantly tears it all back down. I only paid by the minute for everything that I use. So two killer features. Appreciate you guys working with us to get that done.
Well, and here at ChefConf, we announced a new product, Chef Delivery, and key to delivery is Test Kitchen and Chef provisioning support. So since we have those platforms, now you can build your CI pipelines, you can mix and match, your cloud platforms, your virtualization platforms, run the workloads and test where you need to, but it's all supported by Chef.
Absolutely. Yeah, no, great stuff. Excited to be part of it for sure.
So it's all up on GitHub. If you need more information, feel free to contact me at partnereng@chef.io or Mr. Marshall J.
Marshall J at VMware.com, or just go to vcloud.vmware.com and get all the information that you need. Obviously, VMware's very happy to help.
Okay. Well, I think that wraps it up.
Okay, guys. Thanks, Matt. Appreciate you doing it. Good working with you.